Evo Search for Eden, a game that follows the evolution of a creature from a fish to a human through the help of the goddess Gaia. The game features 6 different time periods, many frustrating bosses, I'm looking at the Yetis, and a fun experience. Now looking at it from a musician's perspective, the music in this game is actually really intriguing. For example, Gaia's theme is really happy and makes you feel at home. The fish theme is solid and it kind of feels like a start to something amazing. The amphibian theme, well, it claps really hard. But then we get to the dinosaurs, and so the purpose of this video is to make the dinosaurs great again. Now, if you listen to the game music, you'll realize that there are 4 variations on this dinosaur theme that's lame. The first one is the one you hear in the intro. It's just bare bones. After that, there's another version that has sort of a melody line in it. There's another version of the theme that sounds like a rock song, except a very, very lame rock song. And the final version of the theme is actually in the Ice Age. And the Ice Age one, I think because of the instrumentation that is chosen, sounds pretty okay. It feels as if it's icy, and it also feels as if evolution has stopped for a moment. So I think I'm going to let that one be in the game, but we're going to edit the other 3. Okay, here we are in Logic Pro. This is the program that I use to write music. And before we start, I'm using a plugin that's called Super Audio Cart. This plugin simulates the sounds of old gaming systems. And in order to make my sound as if it fits in with Evo, I needed to get some of those older sounds. So first things first, when you think of dinosaurs, you think big creatures that roam the huge landscape. So I thought one of the first things we need is good drums. So let's just listen a little bit to my drums that I have here. They could definitely be bigger, but they're not bad. Now we're gonna think about maybe some low brass to kind of fill in that oomph. So let's listen to those. Yeah, that's nice. And then I added in this harp right here, just to sort of fill in some space, add some higher instrument parts. And it's really there just as a filler. It's not supposed to be anything melodic. Okay, now for this part, I tried to make the screen a little bit better so that we could see what's actually going on. So I want to talk a little bit about the melody that I've written. You see, it starts off with this pan flute. Pan flutes are really good instruments for pre-Bronze Age, I would say. Anything that's supposed to sound like cavemen or dinosaurs, the pan flute is a really, really good instrument. And when writing the melody right here, I used a scale mode that's called Dorian. Dorian is not sad, it's not happy, it's on the sadder side of things. But if you've ever heard a song like Greensleeves, which I'll play right here for a second, that's Dorian. It sounds kind of medieval. I used that to create this beginning melody with the pan flute. And then continuing on, I wanted to tie back into the area of the fish when creating this melody that continues on in the strings. So I used the fish idea, and I'm going to play a little bit of that right here for you. So with those 2 ideas, we created a melody. Let me play a little bit of the pan flute just so you can understand what it sounds like. So those are our melodies, and all of this will fit together really, really nicely, except there's one problem. That one problem is a small thing that's called equalization. Equalization is the trick of making everything fit together. Kind of if all of these instruments were blocks or puzzle pieces, but they were just squares, so they weren't cut out yet to be puzzle pieces. What we're going to do now is cut them out to be puzzle pieces. So we're going to pull up these equalization windows. But we're going to start just with 2, and just listen to the low brass and the toms. And these equalization windows show all of the frequencies, or all of the notes all of the wavelengths that are being played by each instrument. So if we look at all of these and we notice there's anything that's where one instrument is louder than the other, or something is sticking out, or they're kind of fighting for the same spot, then we're going to try and fix those problems, fix those issues. We're going to start just by listening to these two. Okay, so first thing I noticed, both the toms and the low brass have a little bit of a unnecessary lines that you could see. Let me play it again. Right here, that get in the way. And so we're just going to take this. This is a cutoff. This just cuts out all of those frequencies that are in the low spot. And we're just going to cut off all of those low frequencies so we don't have extra noise in our track. Now that we've done that, let's listen to it again. So the toms play between this 100 and 200 mark. That's where their biggest frequencies are, right around here. And the bass plays a little bit lower than that. So we're actually going to take a little bit of this valley idea right here and make the bass not get so much in the way of the toms by creating a small valley right here. So it's not in the way of the toms. And the same thing with the toms. We're going to take a small valley and drop it down where the bass is doing its highest. And then they should fit together just a little bit better. Okay, now that we've done that, let's look at the toms and the pan flute together. Let's open up the equalization of the pan flute and listen to it with the toms. The pan flute also needs a little bit of a drop off, a cutoff, so that it's low frequency. It doesn't create low frequencies that interfere with what's below it. The pan flute plays out between 300 and 400, maybe 300 and 500 as its highest frequencies. So we're going to move the toms and make another valley for the toms around that area so they don't get in the way of what's most important, which is the melody, the pan flute. And now we're going to look at the harp and the pan flute. The harp is supposed to just be supportive of the pan flute. So we're going to open up the equalization of the harp and look at that one with the pan flute together. So they do kind of clash between the 500 and the 800 marks. So we're going to make it so the harp doesn't play as much of its mid-range and plays more of its high range. Okay, now we've gotten into stringland. Stringland, hooray. The strings need to fit in with the toms. So let's look at the toms with the strings together. Both the strings can probably follow the same equalization. Here I'm going to put a cutoff on the strings so they don't make extra. This, just looking at this, makes me feel like the toms actually need more of a drop off like this. They need a shelf. They need all of the higher frequencies from this point to be lower so that they don't interfere with anything that's above. So we're going to put on that shelf and listen again. We're also going to make sure that the strings and the harp do their job. I think that's pretty okay. So most of these changes are very subtle. It's going to be very, very hard to hear just on a basic ear. But in the end, they make things sound a lot better and sound as if things aren't fighting. And instead they're working together. So now that we've done this, I think we might be okay to listen to the final product. We're first going to listen to the basic version that only has the harp, the bass, and the strings. and then we're going to listen to all of this put together, like you've been hearing just here. And then finally, we're going to listen to the rocked up version, which is more of a secret, and you're going to get to hear it with the gameplay now. And there we have it, making dinosaurs great again. The first episode of Rescoring. I plan on making many more of these types of videos in the future, so if you have any other video game tracks that need help, comment them down below and I will get to them when I can. Just let's hope that these videos aren't quite as long as this one, though. The dinosaurs, well, are actually quite a big project. Also, if you have any constructive criticism, be sure to leave it down in the comments. I'd love to know how I can get better as a composer, sound designer, and video editor. That's all for now.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.